Alright, here's our project, Best Buds. This is painted on a oversized gift tag from Bear With Us. We used some metallic luster on this one. Fun project. Let's get to it. Okay, I have put 2 quick coats of white on here. 1 coat of multi-purpose sealer on first, and then 2 quick coats of white. I just did it with my artist sponge because it goes on very quickly, nice and smooth. No fuss, no muss. No ridges, just nice smooth coats. Okay, so now I am going to mark off about 1/4 of an inch on the outer edge with my compass. And I want to try and keep this mark pretty light. And I know you're probably thinking, why did we paint it white if it's going to be black? Well, my border, I wanted the white already on my border, so it was just much easier to paint it all white with the sponge. It goes so quickly, and you use such a small amount of paint, so I wasn't worried about that. I went around these corners here. Bit, although to tape it off we don't really need to have them rounded. So we're going to tape it off with this green stretchy tape. This size is 1/4 inch. This is new to my website. I am very excited to be able to find a supplier for this. So this is the only size that I normally use. Patricia Rawlinson sells this on her website. She has several different sizes, but this is the size that I use probably all the time if I have to tape something off, if I don't use Scotch tape. So I now have it available for you if you need that. So we're just going to tape off along that line. This is just going to make, when we go to do our banding on the edge later, it's going to make it so much easier to do. Okay, I'm going to take this small piece here and put it up here and over here. Right. Just kind of pull it as you lay it down. This will help it get really nice and tight against your surface. You'll go back and press it down. And then up here on this edge, we can just pull and shape this right around that line by just pulling that tape and forming it around that line. And if I stop sliding on my surface, it would be helpful. Okay. So I'm just going to take my scissors, cut that off. I don't quite have it connected over here, so I'm going to take this piece of tape and over here. Just bend it around that corner there a little bit. So I hope you were on camera to see that good enough. And now I'm going to just go press it down. I don't want any ridges or bubbles in it. You should be able to press it down nice and smoothly. Press down all your edges. Okay, and we're going to paint the center of this in with lamp black. And I haven't, oh goodness, bottle's almost empty here. I'm just going to use a, let me get a bigger brush here. Find me a 1/2 inch size somewhere. Okay, I'm just going to use the 1/2 inch flat. There we go. And you can use a large brush, you can use a sponge, you can use whatever kind of brush you desire. And I'm going to start my brush in the middle and then work out towards the edge, because I don't want a lot of paint on my brush when I get to the edge. So start out here, and that removes the majority of the paint from your brush. And then you can just go out here and work it in. Now, it is much quicker to use a sponge. So if you have an artist sponge, I highly recommend using that. That's what I use to base coat in the white. So that's how you use a brush. I'm going to show you how to do it with an artist sponge because it is so much quicker. So I've got a dampened sponge here, and I'm just going to, you can go right over your tape. You don't have to be too worried about it. You're just using gentle pressure, and then just smooth your paint out. It's so quick. Using an artist sponge is just so quick. Okay, I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to put a second coat on there, and we're going to remove the tape. Okay, I've got my 2 coats of black paint on there, and it is completely dry. I have black paint all over my hands. Okay, so now I want to do something fun to the background, and we are going to use these metallic lusters. I love these metallic lusters. They are just so amazing. So I'm going to take a little bit. I mean, you need just a tiny little bit. You don't need hardly any of this out. So I've got Cosmic Blue, and I've got just a touch more of that purple, just a tiny touch. Let's see, what color is this one? This one is Majestic Purple. Love, 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 love these lusters, metallic lusters. Okay, so I'm going to take my sponge. This is the side that I use the paint to paint with, so I'm going to use this side now. So I'm going to get a little bit of water on my brush, let me put it here on my paper plate so you can see it. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of water, and then I'm going to go over here to my blue and pull some of that blue out onto my sponge. Okay. Then I'm just going to let it kind of glide across my surface and just let it kind of go where it wants to go. I'm not giving any pressure on the sponge. I'm just letting the metallic paint come off where it wants to come off. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing to the purple. I'm going to go get a little bit of water and then pull out some purple on my sponge. Just takes a little bit. That's why you just need to put a little dot out on your palette. And then we're going to streak some of this through there. I didn't get enough water. Soften that down. So we're just going to, I'm just skimming this across here. Kind of just letting that metallic come off where it wants to come off. Got a little bit of a thickness there. I'm going to try and smooth that out a little bit. Okay, so what a fun background. What a fun background. Okay, so now we're going to remove the tape. Hopefully it will come off. I've got so much paint on here now, I feel like. And we've got our nice clean line for our border that we're going to put on later. Oh, isn't that fun? That is so much fun. So much fun. So much fun. Okay, so I'm going to go and erase my pencil lines, and then I'm going to come in and transfer my pattern on and get my base coat started. And then we'll come back here. I need to go wash my hands before I get black paint all over everything. Okay, so I'm going to get my I can't even talk this morning. My goodness. My pattern transferred on. And then we're going to come back and get busy here. Alright, I'm starting to add my base coats on here. my base coating with Gray Sky, and I keep water drops on the side of my palette when I need clean water or water for floating, because you want to have clean water when you float. And I just use a spritzing bottle, spray it on there, and the more you spray in one place, the bigger your drops will get. Okay. So I'm gonna use a little bit of water on my brush here, thin my paint down a little bit. Two reasons. One is, the main reason is because it gives me nice smooth coats. I won't get any ridges, no thick globbiness. It's nice and smooth. Just goes on wonderfully. Sometimes that means you have to have an additional coat on your project, but I am okay with that because it just makes my project look so much better when I can control the paint a little bit more. And the second reason is because oops, what was my second reason? Forgot where I was going with that whole thought. It's a great undercoat. Gray is a great undercoat for a lot. The Gray Sky is what I like to use a lot for a undercoat. But we want our ghost is white, and the gray white can tend to be a little bit transparent. My my metallic luster's not quite dry right there, so I picked some of that up in my gray. So he's a little purple right there, but that's okay. So I'm just using a number 8 flat, especially these small places. You could go to a round brush. I just want you to use the brushes that you are comfortable with. I always list what I use in my palette, but they're just recommendations. If you have different brushes that you like to use, or different sizes and styles, those are the brushes that I want you to use. Use what you feel comfortable with. Now I'm going to have to come back and put a second coat on that because it didn't quite cover. I want it to be a little bit more opaque. So now for our pumpkin. We want to paint it orange, but orange is also one of those colors that can tend to be transparent. Red and oranges are pretty notorious for that. So we are going to get that paint clean down my brush there. Okay, we're going to take our moon yellow and we're going to mix it with some Tangelo orange. So I'm just going to put them side by side here on my palette. Take my palette knife wherever I put it. And let me move this over so you can see it. I'm going to take a little bit of this Tangelo orange and put it into my moon yellow. I want to make kind of a peachy color. I don't want to have to put so many coats of orange on, and the yellow would still probably require me to put a few coats on here. So I'm just picking up a little bit of orange at a time. You get to be the judge of your undercoat color, because you don't want it too light, but even if you got it a little on the darker orange side, it is not going to hurt anything at all. This is our undercoat. So you see I've got a nice kind of dark peachy color there. That's what I'm going to use for my undercoat there. So here's the Tangelo orange and the moon yellow, and I've got it more towards the moon yellow side. So that is how you want to get your undercoat for it, and you do not have to be particular about that color at all. I also wanted to mention on these metallic lusters, they have this, if you didn't want the blue or the purple, if you wanted to, use a different color, they have this orange color that is just beautiful. It's called Orange Flicker. So if you wanted that color in the background, with the purple maybe, that would be very pretty with the purple. You have that option there. So many color choices with that metallic luster. So many ways that you can use it. Oh, it is an amazing product. I can't speak highly enough of it. I love it. I think it's a wonderful project. Now, product. Now I had quite a bit of paint in my brush, and I just kind of laid it down in the middle of my pumpkin there, because I want to come out to the edge, and I don't want any ridges. So if I get a ridge, I'm going to take my finger and just pull against that paint and wipe it off. No ridges. This is a ridge-free zone here. We don't want any ridges. I'm going to work very quickly with this undercoat because, let's see, I got it. I just have too much paint on my brush here. I have my ceiling fan on because it is starting to get a little bit warm here. Springtime and all. And my studio happens to be over our garage, so it gets very hot in here in the summer, and it stays very cool in the winter. So I keep a little, I have air conditioning in here, but and a ceiling fan, which I have on at the moment, but it doesn't do enough for me because, you know, I'm a woman with hot flashes, and so it just does not work effective for me. So I have my ceiling fan on, and I have a little fan that I normally run. I don't have it running right now. It causes a little bit too much background noise. I'm going to pick up some water and work that into my brush. I need to do a little bit of smoothing down here. I don't want any lines, no ridges. I'm just using some water here with the paint that's in my brush, and oh, I'm removing my paint right there, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to lay my brush a little flat so I can maybe put that back on, which I didn't. So that right there happens when I went over it. The paint was starting to dry, and then when I went over it with the water, it just removed the paint. Okay, so I'm going to have to let this get completely dry, and then come back, and I'm going to put my Tangelo orange on it, just straight Tangelo orange. You'll want to thin your Tangelo orange down just a little bit. I'm going to go back and put a second coat on here, and I am going to get some water and pull some of this paint out. I want to thin this paint down. I want it just a nice thin coat of paint. That's how I would like for you to do all of your base coats. I touched my paper towel to get excess paint and water out. And then you just go over here and start putting just the smoothest coat of paint on ever. You will just find that if you do that to your paint, you get beautiful results. So give it a shot. Don't be afraid. It's just paint. You don't like it, you can paint over it. Just paint. This is our stress-free zone. Too much paint there. So I touched my paper towel, wiped off the excess. When you touch your paper towel, it is immediately going, as long as you touch in a dry spot, it's immediately going to wick out the excess water and the paint that is hanging on to that water. It's just going to wick it right out of your brush. So a lot of times if I'm unsure how my brush is going to paint for me when I go to my surface, I'm going to go touch it to my paper towel and get the excess out. Okay, that's not quite dry. It's still a little cool. So I'm going to go ahead and base in my stem with some cocoa. Now, I wanted to tell you, if you notice all that paint I had on my hand, when I was done painting this, I had tons of black paint on my hand. And I don't like to stand at the sink and scrub my hands. So what I do, this is just a little tip for you if you want to try it, is I take hand sanitizer and I rub that all over my hands. because hand sanitizer is mostly alcohol. So it is immediately starts loosening that paint, and so I just work it in like it's soap on my hands and let it loosen that paint, and then I rinse my hands off, and I've got most of the paint already removed. And so then I can just, you know, use some hand soap and get the rest of it off. So give that a try if you're painting a big project or a messy project like I was doing here, and you feel like you have a ton of paint on your hands. We'll definitely have to repeat that cocoa, maybe 2 more times on that cocoa. You could mix a little bit of white in with your cocoa to get a more opaque undercoat if you would like. But anyway, give that a test with your hands and see how it works for you. Okay, I'm going to take my Tangelo orange here, which is starting to dry terribly. I'm going to pull it out over here. I've got some water in my brush, so I'm kind of thinning that down. I'm going to go pick up another drop of water. I'm going to have to put some more paint out here. That's not going to be enough to cover my pumpkin. I can see, look at that brush, it is just so full. So I'm going to go wipe it on my paper towel. Both sides, I just went like that and like that. And that removed all that thick paint that was in the center. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of water and blend that in my brush. And now we're just going to come in here, more water. And we're just going to put some sheer little coats of Tangelo orange on here. I am going to try and work a little bit faster than I did with that undercoat because this is mostly water here in my brush, and it is going to dry super duper crazy fast. And so I want to keep this smooth and no ridges. I'm not giving tons of pressure on my brush, so you don't need to give tons of pressure. More water, a little bit more paint. So you can see where my paint didn't cover right there. Well, you probably can't tell as well as I can tell. But, okay, I'm going to lay my brush flat and kind of just skim over that. I don't want to start lifting my paint. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry completely. Oh, there, now you can see. See, that's where I removed my paint. Right there, so that's the black that's showing through, but I'm going to leave it because this is Halloween, it's a pumpkin, he's probably dirty, you know, and so I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to stress out about that. Now, if it was something more, you know, like flowers or something where I wanted great detail and stuff, I would cover that up. You know, go back with my Moon Yellow mix and cover that up. But I'm not going to worry too much about it with my pumpkin. So I'm going to get this dry, and I'll go off camera and put my second coat on here. Same way, my second coat of Tangelo orange, same way I just put that first coat on. And get my stem finish base coated in there. Alright, let's get busy on our pumpkin here. We are going to start adding some detail here with some cat orange. Now I'm going to use curved flats. In the making of this video, I still have them to sell on my website, but I want you to use the brush that you feel most comfortable using. I will always probably use curved flats, even when I can't sell them anymore. When I've sold all of them, I will probably still use them, and just tell you to use a angle brush or a flat brush. Those are your other two options if you don't have a curved flat brush. I'm extremely sad that Low Cornell is no longer going to be making this brush. So when I load my brush, first thing you have to do, most important thing, is to wake your brush up in water. Whatever brush you're using, condition it, get the bristles completely full of water, lay it on your paper towel. Here, I'll condition this one even though it's already conditioned. Let me find one that's dry. Okay, so this one's dry. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our water basin. We are going to fill our bristles completely full of water. Now if you have one like this, you can just let it rest in the water and fill up until you're ready to use it. But I usually just push it against the side. I want those bristles to be nice and full of water. Alright, so after we get them full of water, we take it to our paper towel. We lay it this way. See all that water wick out of there? We lay it this way. All the extra water is wicked out of it. I dry my ferrule off in case there's anything on my ferrule. And now your brush is ready. It's happy, it's conditioned. It wants to paint for you because it's so happy. It is ready. So those are important steps to getting your brush ready. And now when you're going to paint, it's full of water, it's conditioned, so I'm going to load right here. Mine has started to dry out as I showed you how to do that one. So I'm going to pick up a drop of water over here on the curved edge or the opposite edge that I have paint. So if you're using an angle brush, you'll have paint on the toe. So this is Cad Red. This is how I work my float, no matter what kind of brush I'm using. I always work my float like there. I want a nice soft float. So how this looks right here is how it's going to paint for you. Nothing different is going to happen to the paint on your brush when you go from your palette to your surface. So how it looks right here is how it's going to paint. So if you're loading your brush and you're just getting this thin line here, like this, that's how it's going to paint. It's just going to paint a thin line for you. Right here you don't have enough paint worked into your brush, and you absolutely do not have enough water. So you've got to have those in there. You've got to work them together. If you like to load your brush this way, you can load it this way, back and forth. I don't like to do that. To me, it's too much wrist action. So we're going to load it right here. I'm using a 6 curve flat. Okay. When you need to pick up water, you need to blend it into your brush exactly like you would blend the paint in. Okay, so we're going to make our sections here. So we're going to go on the back side of each one of these lines. And you're probably not going to see this color too much. So I'm going to get my burnt orange out. And I'm going to mix my burnt orange with my Cad orange. So I'm going to dip into my burnt orange and blend it with the Cad orange that's on my brush. So if you're just starting out, you can dip into Cad orange, dip into burnt orange, work them together. Let's see if this is a little bit darker. There we go. Now you can see that. And we're just going to go beside each one of these lines. Pick up water. I'm going to work that into my brush. Now I just brush mix when I'm doing this because we're using such a small amount of paint. There really is no need to mix a whole bunch. Lay my brush as flat as I can lay it. My fan is drying my brush out before I can get my stroke done. So we want to work that down. Let's do over here. That line's not quite in the right place, so I'm going to put it where it needs to be. Okay. So on the other side, we're going to mix paint. We're going to go to this side. Now this easel that I'm using is a wonderful thing to have, especially if you have any kind of back issues. I have had back surgery, so I do not like to lean over my surface. I even take this with me when I'm going to seminars and paint classes because I can't lean over my surface to paint. It just is not good for me. So I'm going to still see that dark area there where I didn't get the background covered up good. Not going to worry about it. Not going to worry about it. Okay, so that's dry already. Okay, I want to darken that, but I don't want to get too awful dark. So I'm going to take my burnt orange and the tiniest little dot I'm gonna pick up a little dot, but I'm gonna touch there and remove most of it of black. I want to just kind of darken up this burnt orange a little bit. And again, you're not going to need very much. That is still just a tad dark for me. So I'm going to add a little bit more orange to it and a little water to soften it. And then we're going to repeat this float. Darken this up. And this one here, I probably could use my bigger brush so I could walk it over a little bit. So I'm going to try and pull that over a little bit. And take my little mop brush and kind of soften that. That's the first time I've used the mop brush on this project, and I use it on almost all of my projects. You use it dry, and when you need to clean it, I'll show you how to clean it here in a second. You'll go to a wet place on your paper towel. I'm trying to bring this over a little bit when I'm making a very hard line there that I do not like. So I'm just going to take my mop brush. Mop brush is good for removing the paint as well. So when you want to clean it, you go to a damp place and clean the paint out of your brush. Then you'll go to a dry place, if you can find a dry place, or a dry paper towel, and dry it off. And then it's good to go for you. Remember, just a touch of black, so if you get too much, then just add some more of that burnt orange to it and mix it in there. I like to clean my mop brush every time I use it. That way it's always clean, because if I don't, then when I go to use it somewhere else and I've got the paint in it from mopping a previous mop, then it just transfers the paint that's in it right to the next part that I'm using it on. So I'm going to take my 10 curved flat. So if you're using a 1/4 inch or an angle brush, you'll start with a 1/4 inch or 1/4 inch, I'd say, up here. And I'm taking that cad red and burnt orange mix. I'm going to a larger curved flat now. So when I move to a larger curved flat, if you're using an angle brush, you can go up to a 3/8 inch angle brush. And I want to put this color down here at the bottom. And I'm going to walk it up a little bit. So just kind of bring it up on the pumpkin a little bit there. Okay, I want to get that dry. And I'm going to take the burnt orange and a little touch of lamp black. And load my brush up with that. And then we're going to float this color along the bottom, kind of walk it up. All the way up. Okay, I need to quickly mix a little bit more so I can walk it up into that damp place with the water edge that my brush left. Okay, I'm going to mop that because it created a little line there. Very gently mop it. Gives us a little place to some weight to our pumpkin now. I'm going to go back to my 6 curved flat and take that burnt orange and black mix. And we want to go around our stem thing up here. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Alright, I'm going to go in here and erase my graphite lines here. Any that I can still see anyway. And we're going to add a highlight on here with Cad Yellow. And Cad Yellow is one of those transparent colors, so it will not overtake our project at all. But you still want to keep it a nice sheer little float on your brush. You don't want it getting too carried away. So we're going to come on the opposite. So when I say opposite side, like this is the side that was shaded, opposite of it is going to be the highlight side. So the opposite side of every shading, we are going to add some highlight. And I do need to shade around the ghost's arms that are holding or hugging his best buddy. Okay, so anytime you pick up water or paint, you need to blend it into your brush. Okay, so we're going to come, we brought our shading up a little ways, so we're going to bring this up here. Now, if you would like, in this bigger area here, you can pre-dampen this with a little bit of water first. Very softly mop that. I'm going to clean that little edge up there. I'm going to pick up a little bit more water, go to my paint area and work that in a little bit. And we're going to do this side here. I almost don't have enough water in my brush. It's a little dry. I'm going to bring that out and gently mop that. Okay. And we're going to do right here. And a little bit right here. I might do just a touch right there. Okay, take the water edge and clean that a little bit. I want to put just a little bit in the center of this section right here. So I'm just going to kind of tap some of that in there and mop it. And I think over here I want to do the same. I want to put a little bit right in here. I need more water. And then I'm going to mop that. And I'm going to do my shading around the ghost's hands with that burnt orange. Teeny tiny bit of lamp black. So we just want to go next to our little ghost buddy here. All the way up. This side. I'm going to mix a little bit more here. Maybe add just a tiny bit more black into it, make it just a little bit darker. Because back here is our darkest place back here. So we want that to stay pretty dark. I'm going to have to touch up on my gray right there. Repeat my float here. Mine dried very quickly because of my ceiling fan, so give yours time to dry. Don't rush it. We're going to have to repeat our highlight here. So I'm going to go into my Cad Yellow. Repeat this. We're going to put his eyes and stuff in here, so we won't see tons of this in the center, but we need to have it in here. A bit down here. And a little bit, need some water. Got to work that water into your brush just like you would some paint. You can't just go straight. You can go straight to your paint, but your surface, but it's going to leave a little bit of, it's just going to leave thin paint, and you're not going to be happy with it. Okay. I'm going to touch up my gray. Our pumpkin's pretty good. I'm going to get it dry, and then I'm going to go and add the eyes and mouth where they're going to go. So let me touch this guy up. You don't want him to have orange on him here. Okay, he's looking pretty good now. Alright, let me go get my pattern lines on here. Okay, let's move on here with this project. We are going to paint the face on this little pumpkin guy. And we're going to use some lamp black. And we're just going to paint this area of the eye in. I'm just using a one round. Oops. I want to make sure you keep your shape well, because you don't want to mess it up like I just did. I've had my grandkids today, been painting in between their naps, and they just went home, so my fan sounds like it's making a very loud noise. Hopefully that is not the way it sounds on the camera. Now I just drew my eyes in here, so I don't know how well my pattern is for keeping them the same size, but you want to try and keep them the same size. Alright, I'm going to paint the mouth in down here. So what's probably the easiest is if you just outline it. And then just fill it in. With your black. And then we can come back and erase our graphite line there. Oopsie doopsie. To make this one a little bit wider because I messed up the other side. I need some water. My paint is just drying out faster than I can pretty much spread it on here. This eye outlined. Not too sure about that. I think I like it better not outlined. So here's how you fix that. I am going to dampen it. Get my little white eraser. Erase that black. The paint has not cured yet, so I can remove it. And smear it all at the same time. Go ahead white line here, because I think I want to take some of that. Oh, that looks alright. Erase my white from around the mouth here. Okay, his nose, I am going to paint in. Just make it a little bit different. I'm going to go back up here and fix the eyes in a second. Some cat orange. I'm going to get a different one around here, one that's got a little bit longer bristles. Then some of my black paint down. Try and get it about inky consistency. I need to put some stronger glasses on. I'm going to have my eyes checked tomorrow. Pretty sure my bifocals need to be strengthened. So. Just put a quick second coat in here. Fill in any excuse me, places that I might have missed. Same here. This eye does not look like it's shaped quite right. Not sure that I'm improving on this eye at all. Oh goodness, I got too much water there. I think my eyes are growing. Alright, let's fill in here. I'm just outlining again because when I went and erased my graphite line, the paint wasn't quite dry. And so I erased some of my black. He is looking pretty cute, I must say. Alright, then just fill in here. This is just a kind of a wash of this black. You don't have to have a lot of paint here, because you're just kind of filling in any areas that didn't get good coverage the first time. The side of his mouth does not quite match. Not that it has to match, but I'll try and make it match a little bit. Alright, let's paint a second coat on his nose here. If your paint is at all thick, you want to add some water to it and thin it down. Okay, I'm going to let him dry, and then I'm going to erase the graphite line there. I didn't quite get all my black paint erased right there. So I'm going to see if I can get it without removing the orange paint. I might just have to float a little color there. take that orange that I've got out. I'll add a teeny tiny black to it. It's not the orange we initially used for shading, but let's see if I can cover that line up. Well, I can still see that black line there. Kind of bugs me. Kind of bugs me. The more you continue to erase on a project, you can end up going all the way down to the base of your surface. Generally, you can only remove the well, I'll think of it here in a second. The paint that hasn't cured. Yellow in here. And go ahead and put a little bit here, even though that goes over that shadow there. We're gonna go ahead and a little bit on the top of his tooth. Now generally you would put your highlights down inside the mouth, but I'm doing this little fella a little bit different. Erase, make sure my eraser is dry around the nose here. I'm going to put a little highlight on it. With our yellow. And then we can shade on the bottom with the base color. Ooh, stuck my finger in the yellow paint. With the base color, which was cadmium orange, and a little bit of black in there. And just dirty up that cad. Okay. I think I might add a tiny more bit of black to it and shade around the bottom of the nose. Alright, let's do that to the eyes as well. So it's just that cadmium orange with a little bit of lamp black in there. I'm using my 6 curve flat. I'm kind of up on the very chisel edge there. I'm laying it flat as I go down underneath the eye and then coming back up to the chisel edge. So we just give him a little shadow under his eye. Okay, we'll do the same thing with the mouth. Alright, I'm just brush mixing because we need such a small amount of paint. Remember, if you get too much black on your brush, just go wipe the excess black off, pick up a little bit of orange, and blend. Maybe a little bit more black down here. Ooh, not that much, because this is the more shadow area. Chisel edge up on the narrower parts of the mouth. Lay it flat down at the bottom and come back up more to the very tip or chisel edge of the brush. Okay, I'm going to do the cad yellow on the top edge of the mouth. Not quite so wide. Get it off the black there. Okay, then right here, flat, coming up on the very tip. More down here in the tooth area. Okay, I kind of wanted to make his cheeks a little bit rosy, but I don't really have red on my palette. So I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. So I'm darken on his nose just a little bit more. There, that looks much better. He's looking pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to like this, but if I don't, I can quickly remove it. So, I just want to put a little. Nope, I don't like that. I don't like that at all, so. Let me remove that. Right there. I think we'll leave our little pumpkin guy down here. Let's go up and work on his stem. And we're going to have cocoa and lamp black is going to be our shading colors. You are going to need minute amounts of paint. Okay, so we are going to use the 6 curve flat. We're just going to brush mix a little bit of lamp black and cocoa. Get some water drops on my palette because I know I'm going to need them. And a little bit of cocoa. A little black. We just want to create a little bit of a shading color here. We don't want it to be pure black. We want it to have. I just went and wiped my brush off on my paper towel because I had a little bit too much black on it. Okay, so each one of these, let me zoom in here. Each one of these little grooves, we're going to create a little shadow next to it. Water. Pick up a drop and work it in to your brush just like you would your paint. Pretty sure I repeat myself many times on here, but you know, I want to make sure that, you know, when you're painting, you're aware that of what you're doing. Okay, so we're going to go around this. Here. I'm going to add a tiny bit more black to that, maybe, if I can pick some up. I want to create some darker places. Just like in some of the, if you don't like the way yours is shaped, oh goodness, shine on the camera. This is the time when you can shape your stem a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to mix a little cocoa on the tip of that. I had mostly black, now I'm getting a little bit of cocoa on here. Let's put some of this back here on these back edges, just a little bit. I know that stem doesn't look like much. Alright, let's take some white and we'll add some highlight on here. So your highlight will be down these bigger sections, and you can just kind of brush some in there. It's going to be along the top. If you want a stronger highlight, you can just take your liner or your round brush. I want to keep this more on this side because I don't want it to be next to the part where we're going to do the ghost. Okay, let me wide angle out. You can see our little pumpkin guy. He's really cute. He's really, really cute. Okay, we're going to start working on the ghost now. Alright, let's move on to our little ghost guy here. Zoom in a little bit, hopefully I can keep you on camera. You want to have some fresh white out. Okay, I'm going to take a 8 flat, and it is just slightly damp. You don't want it full of water, but you can have it a little bit damp. A little bit damp is okay. So we're going to load into some white paint here. We get a little bit on each side of the brush, kind of work it into the brush. We're not getting tons of paint. Okay, we want to start out easy peasy here. Alright, so I'm going to go touch my paper towel. You know, get the stuff off the end of it. Okay, and we're just going to start dragging and dry brushing on our ghost guy here. So pick up as you need. I load my brush, I touch my paper towel, I come over here and I am just gently putting the paint on the surface. I'm just letting the brush just skim across that. You don't need tons of paint in your brush to do this. I have to go back for paint quite often because I don't have a whole lot of paint in my brush, and I am just tickling this. If you are starting to get a lot of paint down on here, then you are giving too much pressure, or you have too much paint on your brush, one of the two. I'm going to go to a smaller brush for the areas down here. Stay off my pumpkin there. Okay, just dragging. When you load both sides. Remember, you don't have to fill the brush completely full. Just keep doing this until you have your ghost the way you want him to look. I didn't want him quite solid white. I wanted him to look like he was kind of like linen. So if you want him to be just solid white, then you can just go ahead right in and paint him white. But I kind of wanted him to have a little bit of look of linen. I'm going to go across this way just a little bit. Just with the tip. Not too much up here. Give it the look of some... You probably can't see that as well on camera. Kind of looking linen-y. So a little bit on this side. Let me get a smaller brush for down here. All that paint on my brush here. Okay, I'm going to try a 3-4 round. It might be too big. I don't know. I'm going to load it the same way because I can make it a flat brush. Small flat. Touch it to my paper towel and just drag some of this onto here. Now, like I said, if you just want to paint it white, you can, but I want you to try some different techniques and stuff. You know, make things look a little bit different. They don't have to always be the same. I want to get you out of your comfort zone a little bit. I know it's difficult because I've been trying to paint outside of my comfort zone a little bit more loosely, and it's kind of hard when you want to be in control more of the brush. It's kind of hard to let that control go, but it's pretty fun to paint some more impressionistic type of paintings. Okay, oh, that ghost is just looking so cute. Now, we're just going to give the ghost some eyes, is all we're going to give him. So, you can put your pattern on here. I'm just going to hopefully draw 2 eyes the same size on my little ghost dude. And I'm going to get some fresh black out. His eyes black. They look pretty close to the same size. This one I feel needs to be a little bit rounder. Okay, then I'll erase that pencil line. Oop, that one looks taller, doesn't it? Okay. A little bit of adjusting. Okay, that's close enough. Close enough. I'll be here just a putzing and a putzing with that if I don't stop. Okay. Okay, let's do a little bit of shading on our ghost here. His arms kind of come up like this. So it looks like he's really hugging him. Now it's up to you if you want to make some folds in your fabric here. It's personal choice here. So we're going to take the sheerest of lamp black here. So I've got just a tiny bit on my brush, and a little bit more than a tiny bit. So I went and wiped it off on my paper towel. A little bit of water. Alright, I'm going to work this little bit of black into my brush until it's going to blend with my water, until it's like a sheer little float. I'm going to touch my paper towel. Let me find a little bit cleaner spot here. And just take the excess off the tip. Now I'm using a 10 curve flat. You use whatever brush feels comfortable for you to use. I need to get the paint off of the water edge. So to do that, when I needed the paint off of this edge, I went and dipped that edge in water, and then I wiped it on my paper towel. Because the paint came over a little bit too far. Now you see how light that is. I know you're thinking, well, she ain't even laying any paint down. Well, I'm laying a little bit down. I just prefer that you do sheer floats and you know, repeat, especially on white, something like this, because it can overtake, black can overtake. And I didn't want you to have to get another color out. Lamp black is perfectly wonderful for shading with. You just have to control it. We're going to put a little bit on the outside edge, and I mean just a little bit, so just a little bit of black goes a long ways. So some sheer floating washy color. We don't want to make him a dirty ghost. Getting a little bit more on my brush here. Okay, I'm going to see if I can, with this big old brush, if I can create my little folds in here. One on that side. I'm up on the very tippy toe of this brush. Use the water edge, kind of pull it out. You can go and use a liner brush with this if you prefer. But the more you can learn how to use, you know, so you don't have a liner brush, or you're at a, you know, seminar and you forgot your liner brush, and you know, you want to learn to do something a little bit different, then just go for it, man. Just get up on the tippy toe of that brush and do it. You could probably do just about anything you need to do with whatever brush is in your hand. You just have to learn to control it. Okay, so now I want to create a very bright highlight. Let me shade this outer edge here. I forgot to do that. Down here. Right here. Alright, let's get our bright highlight here. And it's just going to be Snow White. So we're going to load our brush for a float. I'm going to try not to have too much water in your brush. We're going to use straight paint. Don't try to thin it down. And up on the toe here, because that is a little point of a section there. Okay, I'm pulling out. I'm starting to get more flat with my brush, laying my brush flat. Gentle, gentle, gentle pressure. Create a bright, bright highlight. Okay, I want it a little bit brighter right through the center here. I'm just going to tap some in, and with the water edge of my brush, I'm just going to smooth that out. You can't even see it because of the glare of my lights. So when you're painting your project, you'll see it. Unless you've painted yours completely white, then you probably won't need to do that. You'll still need to do your edges here, you know, your arms. Just lightening that a little bit. And I'm going to go down the arms one more time. Because I really want to try and make them as bright as possible. He is just the cutest guy ever. Okay. Now, here comes a little bit of fun stuff. Because the colors that we put in the background are metallic lusters. We still have our border to do out here, and I want to do a little bit of shading underneath to kind of set them. But we're going to get some of our metallic lusters, and I'm just going to go right into them with my brush and get a little bit on the toe of my brush. And I'm going to take it to my paper towel, or my palette, kind of work that in. Okay, so this color, I want to put some, whew, that's really bright. Let me wipe some of that off my brush. I just want to put a little bit of this. Snowman duty. So wherever, use the water edge of your brush to kind of soften that down. Give him some cuteness. Maybe a little bit up here. Yeah, we can put a little bit down here. Alright, we got some cuteness going on here. That's with our metallic there, okay? So now our other metallic color is this purple one, which is Majestic Purple. So I'm going to put a little bit of this on our pumpkin. So I'm just going to dip a little bit, work it on my palette like I did. I need a little bit more. Like I did the blue. And then we'll just come in here and pick some places to put some purple. I have to get just a touch more. A little bit more on my brush there. Now this is metallic, so it's going to give a little bit of shine. showing up on this orange like I'd like it to. So let me get a little bit more on my brush. Whoa. We could use this color for the cheeks. Let me see if I can do that. Take what's on my palette and work it into a little scruffy brush. And just kind of scruffy that. I don't think it's going to work as well with a scruffy brush. Doesn't work too well with a scruffy brush. So you'd probably be just as well to just take your brush and load a little bit and work it in. And then pat some of that in here. And over here. Got a little thick. Okay, I gotta get that off there. That bugs me. That's not the best job here. I'll let you make that an optional choice there. I'm not getting near enough color. That's like gallons more than I need. I've never had such a difficult time putting a cheek on. Take that off and I will try it again here in a second. I'll give that a chance to dry. So let me move some of that purple. Now this is gonna put a little shine on here, so don't forget that. I might put some of the blue on the stem, I think. I'll try that little bit of dry brushing again. Well, it is not wanting to go on there like it should. I don't know. This must be much drier than the blue. The blue seemed a little bit creamier. So I'm going to use a little bit more water. There we go. Yeah, we're cooking. That looks much better. Okay, I'll have to come in and touch up my black there. But I think that's all the purple I'm going to put on there. I got purple where I don't want purple. Clean that up. Get some white. Fix my edge here. Go ahead and do this one so they match. Alright, let me put a little bit of that blue on the stem. Okay, you want to try not to leave these open and let air get into them. So, you know, it's probably better not to leave them open like I was doing, but to take some out and put it on your palette and just use it from your palette. Can't really see it on there, but it's there. Okay, so that is an optional step. You do not have to do that, but I kind of wanted to bring that background color into our two little buddies here. Let's float a little bit of lamp black around the bottom. See if this will show up. I don't know how well this will show up because our background is black, but we put those metallics on there. So hopefully we can get a little bit of shadow under here. This will be, if you didn't get much of your metallics down here, this is not going to show up a whole lot, but it should show up enough to give a little bit of effect. Okay, so there we go. That looks pretty good. Got a nice little shadow under there. And I just did that with the tin curve flat. Okay. I think I'm going to go up here and do the lettering next, and then we'll do our trim, and we'll be done with this. Oh, this is just turning out much cuter than my vision. I don't really like the stem as well, so you can adjust that stem and make it look a little bit better. It needs to be more brown. I don't know what happened. Maybe I could put some soft black on it, but I don't have soft black anywhere else. So that's about the only thing that I don't really like about this is our stem. It's just too dark, not enough brown. Maybe I should have used a different brown to base it in. I don't know. Mixed a little bit of... It just doesn't look very brown. I don't like it. I'm probably going to base that back in and repaint it. So, okay, I absolutely did not like that stem. So, what I did was, I'm chopping off some of the top of it here. And I got a little bit of darker float behind it. I'm going to bring the points down here. A lot of times they will follow the grooves. So it kind of looks like hair on a pumpkin. So I'm just base coating right over this with cocoa. Now, I just want to show you how to fix it, because it's just paint. So I don't want you to feel like once you paint something in, it cannot be fixed. Because it can. Okay? Alright. Get that dry. Take my curve flat. I'm not going to go with lamp black. I did pull out a little bit of soft black, so I will probably go use a little bit of this soft black down in the pumpkin somewhere. Okay, so I want this top to be more like that. And really, I see what my big problem is here. My big problem is that it needs to come in right there on both sides. Okay, I'll go back and float that with some lamp black here in a minute. Okay, soft black. Just using my 6 curve. Okay, we're going to put some down here at the base. And we're going to go underneath our stem here. Kind of bring that down, especially on this side. Okay, so we still want to make our little grooves in here. Some going this way, so they're not all going the same direction. That would probably help. We'll shade along the back edge. You'll do it just the same way that you did before. Along this edge here. Okay, let me get a little bit of white. Highlight here. Use a small round or a liner brush if you prefer when you do this part. Okay, that already looks tons better. And then I'm going to take my soft black and I'm going to go up. Quite that white on my brush. Go around. Keep this very narrow. Oops, you'd probably like to be on camera there, wouldn't you? Yell at me when I get you off camera, because I don't know. I didn't hear anybody yelling. Probably were cussing me, weren't you? Okay, let me go around the ghost. I'm going to go around it again with some white. Just redo this part here and rework some of that shading. Yes, that stem looks so much better. So this is how you fix it. It's not ruined. Look, it's not ruined. It's not, I tell you. It's not. Okay, while that dries, let me get a little bit of soft black, and I want to use it down in our pumpkin in a couple places. So I think I'll shade down here in our deep area with it. Underneath his arm. Get a wider brush and go along the bottom. I think I'll go along inside here, and this will give us a little bit darker shadow in there. And, oh, got that all the way over on my brush. Let me clean that off. Try that again. This one a little bit. I'm going to remove my metallic paint there, so I'll stay up on the toe touch. Okay, and I think I will deepen just a little bit. Ooh, okay, a little wide there. Underneath. Alright, one more place with the soft black. And that is along the bottom, down here. Okay, that brought some of that soft black in there. Alright, let me float back around. So my instructions will be the same for the stem, except for instead of using black to shade, we're going to use soft black. And then I will just add a step in our pumpkin to, that's just not quite dry enough. I'll add a step in our pumpkin that will include the soft black. Alright, keep this kind of sheer. That's a little bit darker background in there than I wanted. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this, maybe darken up a couple places on here. Not too much. And down here. I should wide angle you out because I'm going this way and that and you're not seeing any of it. So that's a little bit darker there, so I'm going to let it completely dry, and then I'm just going to come in and slap a little bit of white right there. So I think that looks very cute. Very, very cute. Okay, let's do our lettering here. I'm going to base the letters in, originally I was going to base them in with white, but I don't know now. I don't know now. Okay, I think I'm going to base them in with Tangelo orange, or not Tangelo orange, burnt orange, because we need to bring some orange out of, out. And we could do the border with orange and black, but I probably will do it black and white. So I'm just using a one round. I'm going to have to get a little bit stronger glasses here. And we're just going to fill in these letters. And we will probably need to use 2 coats. So I'm liking that orange. So let me pull some moon yellow out. I might mix. Get me a little more opaque color here. So I'm just mixing, just dipping into each color, getting a nice orangey color here. We'll see if this is opaque enough. Still not quite opaque, so no matter which way you go, we are going to have to do 2 coats. So you can go straight burnt orange, or you can mix a little bit of moon yellow in with it. This is just easy peasy filling in the letters. Not sure how straight they are here. They're not looking too straight. But I am not worried. So these kind of letters are pretty easy because you just got to fill them in. There's nothing fancy about them. They're just fill-in kind of letters. Now we are going to outline them. So that'll be the running out of paint here that I have mixed. Okay, so I'm going to mix some more so I can do a second coat. Add a little bit of water to it to thin it down because I don't need my second coat to be as this will technically be the third coat on this one because I put that burnt orange on there first. Just take your time with your letters, you're just filling them in. These guys are the bestest buds. They just have all kinds of adventures together, lots of fun. Especially at Halloween. One more letter for a second coat here. You'll have a little bit of water in your paint. Don't be trying to get straight thick paint on here because it'll be too globby and thick. I rarely ever use straight paint unless I'm making like dots or something like that. Okay, now I'm going to use my liner brush. And for our liner brush, because these letters, as you can see, are outlined. Now, if you choose not to do this, it's not going to be a problem, but I think it's going to make the letters look a little bit better. So I'm going to outline them with Snow White. So you want to thin your paint to inky consistency. So you just dip into clean water when you're thinning your white or light colors and pull some paint out and add the water to it, mix it in there. You want to get nice inky consistency. So when you write, I'm going to wash my brush out because I always do that when I thin it down. I like to wash my brush out and start with a fresh brush. Get the water off my ferrule. I can feel it. You never want to have water on the ferrule of any brush, but especially a liner brush. So I'm just going to go right here and load my brush up, and I've got a hair on that brush that is bent. I've got paint all over me. Okay, so I'm just going to load it up right here. Roll it through that. You're going to be on the very tip of the brush. You want to be straight up and down. That's when you've got a little bit more control, when you're straight up and down. Okay, so I've loaded my brush. I'm going to touch it to my paper towel to get the excess paint off of the tip of the brush. Get my hair out of my eyes. I gotta do something about my hair. Okay, and then we're just going to, look how this is. I'm just going to outline these letters. Might have did that one just a touch too big. water. Probably be better if you transfer the pattern on here, because I think I'm just not getting my outlines the way they should be. So we got best. It's probably dried already. It's mostly water, so it's going to dry very quickly. Alright, let's get our buds here. I highly recommend that you transfer the outer lines. Something on the end of my brush. What happens is this paint dries on, there's one hair on this brush that is a little bit longer, and paint always seems to dry on that hair, and then it causes me to have a little burr on the end of my brush. So I've got to get the paint off and then go pull that dried paint off of the tip. Well, that's some of the worst lettering I have ever done in my entire career as a painter. So, don't be sloppy like me. You know, pretty darn sloppy, I must say. Alright. That's as good as it's going to get, folks. Still cute. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do to those letters. You can dot them, shade them. I wanted to keep them more on the simple side, so I'm not really going to do much more than that to it. So I'm going to go in and erase my graphite lines on my letters. Okay, this won't look too bad. Alright, we've just got our border left to do on this piece. You can leave it white if you want. It's really cute with just a white border, but I really wanted to put a checked border on here. So we're going to get ready to do that next. Okay, we're going to start adding our checks in here. Now you can transfer the checks on here if you want. Totally up to you. But I've got a 4 chisel. And so I'm just going to start painting my checks on here. Up to that line. Got a little bit too much paint on my brush, so I'm going to try and stay more up on the very tip of my brush so I don't flatten it out and get a little blurby blurb like I got right there. So up on the chisel edge of your brush. And we're just going to go completely around this whole thing with our checks. And it's going to be cute as can be. So I'm going to go finish my checks off camera because this might take me just a little bit. And we'll come back and do any finishing touches. Got all my checks done here. Now I want to do a little bit. Now this next step is completely optional. If you like it just fine like it is, you do not have to do this. Or if you're afraid that you cannot float this tight of a float, we're going to float. I usually always start in the black. We're floating lamp black. Now we've got this, you know, we're on the softer, sheerer side. We don't want a hard line along here. So just get a little bit of water here. Tight little float against this edge. Okay, we're going to do it all the way around it. I'm just picking up tiny bits of paint at a time, and then picking up water and blending it in my brush so I can keep that black on the softer side. So you've got to have some water in your brush. Otherwise you're just going to get a hard little line on here, or a thick line. That's kind of far over there. And you're not going to be happy with it, and you're going to feel like you ruined the whole thing. So tight, soft floats. I don't want to get it on my background. Although my background started out black, it's got the other stuff on it now, and I don't want to mess that up. And then you'll want to put some kind of tassel ribbon on it. I thought that I had some. I cannot find it any place. So, some kind of Halloween tassel stuff on it. It'll be very, very cute. If you make special gifts for your grandkids, you could tie this to the little Halloween candy packet that you make for them. I always do special little Halloween gift packages for my grandkids, so a little bit more black here. It's not quite showing up. Okay. Alright, let's wide angle out here and see how we like it. Cute as a button. I like it. I like it a lot. Had this little thing drawn up for years. I don't know how many years I have drawn this in my sketchbook, and finally got to paint it up just for you. So I hope that you enjoyed doing this project, and you can paint these two little guys on anything that you want to paint them on, and just have a blast with it. Now this this metallic stuff in the back here, it's the kind of stuff that you can, when you put it on a project, you can buff it up and really give it a shine. But I like it just like that. Put that little bit of shimmer in the background. See the shimmer on his cheeks? Oh, this turned out much cuter than I expected it to. Of course, a lot of my projects turn out much cuter than I expected to, and a lot of times I paint it and I go, wow, I can't believe I just painted that. So even I'm amazed at my own ability to paint something sometimes. So I hope that you enjoyed this and paint it on lots of different things and just have fun with it. So thank you for painting with me, and I'll see you on the next one.